The flight started like any other. Smooth takeoff, clear skies, routine cruising. But minutes into the journey, alarms began screaming in the cockpit. Smoke filled the cabin, warning lights flashed relentlessly, and instruments started failing. The pilot's reckless actions sent the plane into dangerous instability. Every second counted as the co-pilot struggled to regain control. The passengers had no idea how close they were to a total catastrophe. Tension built in the cockpit with every flickering instrument and blaring alarm. The plane teetered on the edge, every movement critical. This is the moment when one pilot's mistake almost destroyed everything. The co-pilot fought desperately, following emergency procedures to stabilize the aircraft. The cabin was filled with smoke and noise, but calm precision in the cockpit prevented disaster. In mere seconds, lives hung in the balance, saved only by skill and quick thinking. The flight started like any other. Smooth takeoff, clear skies, routine cruising. The passengers were relaxed, unaware of the silent tension building in the cockpit. Everything seemed normal until warning lights suddenly began flashing on the control panel. Alarms blooded, echoing through the cabin and cockpit alike. Smoke started seeping in, filling the tiny space where the pilots worked, obscuring their instruments, and forcing them to rely on memory and instinct. The pilot, experienced yet reckless, made a series of poor decisions. Controls were mishandled, emergency procedures ignored, and warnings dismissed. The co-pilot struggled to regain control, fighting against the increasing instability of the aircraft. The plane began to tilt and sway unpredictably, and the autopilot, usually reliable, could not compensate for the erratic commands. Each passing second intensified the danger. Passengers felt the subtle vibrations, the small jolt of turbulence, completely unaware of the life-or-death scenario unfolding just feet above them. The cockpit was a storm of flashing lights, smoke, and alarm sounds. Oxygen masks were ready, but the pilots were too busy fighting to stabilize the aircraft to notice them. Heart rate soared as the plane reached dangerous altitudes while instruments flickered and failed. Every emergency checklist the pilots had trained for seemed to slip through their fingers. The smoke thickened, visibility dropped, and the controls became sluggish. The co-pilot's hands moved frantically, trying to counteract the errors, keeping the aircraft level, maintaining altitude, and attempting to communicate with air traffic control. Through the chaos, a faint mayday call went out, barely audible over the alarm and engine noise. The aircraft was now seconds from catastrophe. The reckless decisions had caused critical systems to malfunction. Engines responded unpredictably. Navigation systems flickered and failed intermittently, and the smoke continued to overwhelm the cockpit. The plane pitched dangerously, descending at alarming speed, leaving no room for error. The co-pilot fought desperately, following every procedure to regain stability. In the passenger cabin, subtle signs of distress went unnoticed. Flight attendants moved calmly, continuing their duties, unaware that a total disaster was inches away. Each turn of the plane, each adjustment of the throttle, teetered on the edge between control and complete chaos. Minutes felt like hours, as the aircraft slowly stabilized thanks to the co-pilot's expertise. Investigators later would examine the flight data and cockpit recordings, stunned at how close this flight came to ending in tragedy. The pilot's errors had created a near-impossible scenario, but the co-pilot's actions prevented a catastrophe. It was a harsh reminder of how even the most experienced pilots can make mistakes with deadly consequences. The plane finally leveled out. The alarms ceased, the smoke began to clear, and normal systems returned. Passengers remained largely unaware of the close call, and the crew exhaled the collective sigh of relief. It was over, but the lessons were clear. Emergency training, adherence to procedure, and vigilance in the cockpit were the only things that prevented disaster. This incident became a case study in aviation circles. It highlighted the importance of proper cockpit protocols, the dangers of recklessness, and the crucial role of co-pilots in crisis situations. Aviation authorities reinforced training procedures, emphasizing the need for constant alertness, teamwork, and respect for the systems that keep every flight safe. Pilot error is one of the leading causes of aviation accidents worldwide. This story is a stark reminder that even a routine flight can become a near disaster with just a few wrong decisions. It underscores the fragile balance in the cockpit, the thin line between safe flight and catastrophe, and the critical importance of discipline, training, and vigilance in aviation. The flight continued safe,